Thanks, Courtney. You're very kind. The team is really fantastic. The amount of work that and content that Netflix is looking to put out in the animation space really calls for us all to be really specialized in what we're doing. So it helps us, find all of the great artists that can potentially be a fit here to help all of our great shows come to full fruition. So with that, Courtney mentioned we have and continue to do so a bunch of different formats that we work with, including features, series, adult, CG, 2D, stop motion, et cetera, et cetera. I want to talk a little bit about what Netflix animation kind of works on in-house. So there are a couple different ways to get content onto the service. And one way is to license content. So that's buying content from different production houses. There's also working directly with partner studios from development to finishing. So shows like Voltron or She-Ra, those are partner managed directly with DreamWorks, right? The full pipeline all the way through. What we hire for specifically in our recruiting group is for that front end production and development that happens in-house. So that's really going to be roles like storyboard revisionist, things like character design, visual development, prop design, background paint, color design, and the production management pieces that go along with that. So it's really focused on that pre-production pipeline, that front end pipeline specifically.
And just to jump in, Luana, too, we also have editorial teams locally and layout as well. So there's a lot of creative front end work going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just with that in mind, as we're kind of talking to the pieces of what we look for Netflix animation, every studio is different. So sometimes we get questions like, well, this studio said they're looking for this, but you guys are telling me something different. I just wanted to highlight, again, there's different studio needs, different production needs. So we're going based off the information our hiring teams are requesting, what skill sets are needed, what type of aesthetic styles, and just keeping that in mind. I think for bigger studios, there's more focused, specialized roles and opportunities, whereas you think about smaller studios where they're looking for someone, a jack of all trades, so more of a generalist type role. So just keeping that in mind as we're sharing some tips and just guidance of what we're looking for as we go through all these questions.
Cool. Great, and we got over 200 questions in the comment section, so we tried to pare those down to about 15 or 20. They were such good questions, and questions I know that I had when I was a student, and we're so lucky to have these 4 recruiters in front of us, visible on social media, answering these. So Bobby, do you want to kick off the first question?
Yes, sir. So the first question is, can we work at Netflix Animation if we are not American? What are the conditions to fulfill, other than the portfolio? What are the conditions that we have to meet to work at Netflix?
Okay, I can take this one. So the first and foremost thing that we're looking at Netflix when we hire people is portfolio. It's the thing I'm looking at even before location or anything else. So for us, that is really the most important factor when we're going to look for candidates and bring them on board to teams. So we do have artists that work with us internationally and in different countries, some as independent contractors, some as full-time hires, some as freelancers. So definitely you can work at Netflix Animation as an international hire. Do we have a hub in a different country? No, but we do have artists that are working all over the world. And I think what we're trying to create here is we're at Netflix, we want to create content for our entire audience, which is global. So we want to be able to have artists on our production who represent the viewers of our content. So international hiring is absolutely something that we will consider. And it's something that we'll always look into and do our best. I mean, every country and every situation is definitely unique, but we'll always look into it. We will always make an effort to try to hire the best person to tell that story.
Right. Thank you, Courtney. And this goes into a little bit what you were talking about before. I just wanted to pay honor to the question of like, does the geography of a potential hire, for example, living super far away from LA, does that determine whether they get hired? And you sort of explained that, but would they have to relocate?
Not necessarily. I think like some productions do like having artists who are fully in-house, and this I'm speaking from more of like if they're like within the US or they like in a different city.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily. Some people might choose to relocate, like they might say like I want to work in LA and I eventually want to move here. Is that something that we can look into? And we'll look into that piece, but it's not required.
Okay. So there are a lot of freelancers kind of working from their kind of home base.
Yes.
For the project.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And just to add to that, Courtney, too, is that we do, you know, if it's the right fit for the person and for the show, we do offer visa support and relocation as well. But really, to what Courtney said at the beginning, it's about art. It's portfolio driven. And I say art, I mean storyboard or the models or whatever it may be. I use that as all encompassing term. It's, we want our shows and our projects to represent our audience. And so we go wherever that is and whatever look. And because we're doing so many different types of styles, like they talked about, you know, 2D and CG, and my first movie was 2D, so I have a soft spot for it. And motion and all this kind of stuff, you know, we'll go wherever the talent is.
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to segue out of that, speaking of all the different mediums, because I mean, Netflix is unique in the sense that they have this big range of adults, like you talked about, and family friendly. So when students or professionals are creating portfolios, do you like to see portfolios that are catered towards like Love, Death, and Robots versus Klaus, or do you just like to see a more kind of general portfolio? What do you look for in that?
Yeah, I can go ahead and take this. So because we're doing such a range of projects, such a range of stories and perspectives, it's not necessary to cater your portfolio to what we're doing. We're doing a little bit of everything, right? So what we really want to see is what you can do best. We want to be able to see the quality of your work. We want to see what you love doing. So much of your passion comes through the way you design. And that is something, if we can see that, that's a huge hit point for us, I think, on the recruitment team. In terms of other things that we need to see in the portfolio, it depends on the role. I can speak a little bit to like what we need on the art side for series. In terms of character design, things like posing, things like character expression sheets, things like lineups and turnarounds, like those are all really necessary for production. If you can show that you can do that and iterate, that's really useful, you know, for our teams. But in terms of, you know, catering your portfolio to what Netflix is doing, again, we're really looking for what you want to do, what you love doing. We want to see your specific style and what you're passionate about. If anyone else has anything to add to that, I know I only covered one particular role there.
I think that'll be good. And sorry, go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah, I can chime in like with story a little bit. When we're looking at story portfolios, we're definitely looking at like draftsmanship, timing of the boards, the entertainment value is huge. What are the acting choices that you're making? What is your layout, cinematography for those? So we're definitely paying attention to that. Again, I think entertainment value is definitely the biggest factor in that. And then in portfolios, I think when we're looking at them, a lot of people will tend to ask me, just from my experience, like, well, how many pieces do I need to have in my portfolio, or how many sequences in my storyboard? And the answer is, it is always quality over quantity. So put in your best work and like lean on that. Like you don't need to hit a certain number of pieces. Lean into the quality, lean into the work that you're really proud of and that you want to show us, because that is going to be the factor. Like that's the most important piece.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to all of that too, just across the board in portfolios or reels, is just the visual storytelling piece of it all. We are looking for storytellers. We need to understand what message or story you're trying to convey or get across without you next to us walking us through your portfolio. So the images you put forward, make sure that they are connecting and telling a story and representing who you are as an artist and as a storyteller. So storytelling key.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Erika. I will say, I keep watching the number count, and we're at 487. So 13 more people, and we just hit our limit, Zoom limit.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, nobody can leave.
No, yeah. 13 more people, and it just breaks it. So this next question is fourfold. But I'll break it down in sections. So the first one is, how do I send my portfolio to Netflix or get in touch with recruiters? Pretty pragmatic question.
I think first and foremost is definitely checking out just different job pages and applying directly to roles and submitting your portfolio through there, because those are applications we're going through. So making sure your portfolios are up to date, and again, you are applying to roles that your skill sets align with in that area. I think also just connecting through social media, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I know each recruiter kind of prefers different areas of reach outs in that, so just reaching out where you can. And then conferences, events, that was a huge one. I know COVID on top of everything kind of makes that difficult, so just kind of seeing what virtual opportunities there are to connect with recruiters. And then if you have peers who work within animation, maybe checking in to see if they can connect you with their recruiter, just to make those connections as well.
And then thank you, Erika. And I think this next one is pretty interesting because it's like a social thing that's a little bit not really talked about in schools and that kind of stuff. But this person asks what the importance of forming a professional relationship with recruiters, and how are the different ways we can get in touch. We talked about, but how often should we get in touch with them? And sort of that relationship that someone breaking in has with a studio recruiter. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely obviously value in connecting with recruiters, whether it's at conferences or even over email and checking in with them. The thing I always give advice, because people are like, how often can I check in with you? Like, when is too much? Like, will you forget about me? My caveat is there's no like set time frame. Like, it's not like every 3 months, every 6 months. I would always guide people that whenever you have an update, check in with a recruiter. If you're starting a new job, check in with the recruiter. If your contract's coming to an end at a certain studio, check in with the recruiter. If you update your portfolio or you have a new portfolio or you've launched a website, check in with the recruiter. So anytime you have an update is a great time frame to check in with us and just share your work. And then that also kind of directs us to your website, your Instagram, or it gives us kind of an availability update with you, like, oh, they're going to be on this project for 3 to 6 months. I can take a note on that. Or, oh, they're coming available in a month. So those are great moments to utilize to connect with recruiters across the board and kind of build that relationship to start with. But then to also have a good framework in mind for how often is a good time to reach out and connect with us. I don't know if anyone has anything else to add on that one.
I would just add, I think people don't realize that, the recruiters, even if you don't hear back every time, we're sending your stuff around a lot to all the different shows. And so I know it feels like, you want to hear more interaction and what's happening. Just know, like, it's in our best interest to be showing your work as much as possible too. So we are definitely on your side and we're just out there kind of presenting you to all the different shows as different opportunities come up that we think you're fit for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just want to add on there or, just reinforce, I love seeing updated work. I love looking at art. It's the best job in the world. If you have updated work, let me know.
Definitely. And I think in those initial reach outs too, like providing context as to why you're reaching out, what you might be interested in, what your motivators are, because I think a lot of times we just get just really basic emails of like, here's my resume, what would I be good at? And that's really hard for us because I don't, like, what do you want? Like, how can I help you? So any additional context that you can provide to us to help you get in front of the right teams is super, super helpful.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thanks for answering that. And, you know, it kind of bleeds into a couple other questions we had, which were, and I know they're later on, but like one of the big things is how do you catch a recruiter's eye in the email, and what are the things like they should avoid when they reach out to you? I know I probably did it wrong when I was applying, because I know I emailed Matt Roberts and I like restraining orders and all that. So like what catches your eye, and what's the thing that you're like, we see too much of this and it's kind of a flag for you guys?
I could say, you know, when people reach out to ask for feedback on portfolio, and when we get those moments to reply back to them, the next time that they reach out and we do see that they did apply whatever type of feedback to their portfolio, or their portfolio has grown since then, that stands out, because I'm like, okay, they're listening, they're receptive, they're hungry, they're eager, and to me that stands out.
Yeah, and if anything, it shows that you can take notes, which is a huge part of
Yes.
the selection process as well.
I think that's so cool that you track their growth and kind of keep an eye on them, because I know like everyone kind of learns at their own pace, and for me it was years to get into where I wanted to be, and if it wasn't for recruiters tracking growth, I don't think it would have happened. I think for Bobby too, same thing.
Yeah, I think we're in a space right now where, you know, animation is seeing this another big boom essentially. So the amount of content or work that, or shows, projects I want to be put out there kind of outweighs the number of available artists currently. So we're really, you know, looking forward for new and up and coming folk, and seeing how people grow and understanding what motivates you and what drives you and what shows you want to work on. Like that, all that information is so important for us to really connect you to your next big thing and your, you know, the best work of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to add to what Luana said too, and I think she said it perfectly, is that, you know, animation is a collaborative medium. And so the fact that you take notes and you go back and you address it, one, shows us your passion and your love of the craft and the medium, and that goes a long way. And two, your ability to take notes and translate that into tangible changes, that's huge. That's a lot of the jobs in all of these positions. And so I can't tell you how many people that we've tracked for years. I mean, there's some that have been a long time that you ultimately hire, but that enthusiasm, that passion, that craft is a big, big piece. And so it's really important.
I agree with everything that was said. And then I'm just going to throw in, just for more experienced artists, I think when they're really humble and you can sense that, and they're still great, like they're just come with like a very gracious attitude, and they're appreciative, even if they're like superstars, they're appreciative of your time. That also stands out to me at that like very senior level artist kind of aspect. But definitely to everything that they were saying about the notes, and people who come back and say, hey, I worked on this and that you had talked about, like, what do you think? Like, definitely stands out. But that humble and hungry, I guess, stands out to me.
That's awesome.
That's great. Aren't you glad too that people now apply with links and not like VHS or DVD? Kim, I'm sure you remember the days of that, drawers, DVDs, and CDs.
I had file cabinets of VHS and a computer and a little machine. Oh, this is so much better, so much better. And people forgot to put their names on it. I can't tell you how many times there was somebody I'd want to hire and there was no name. It was awful.
I'm actually not too sure about how many of our participants on the other 500 people know what a VHS is. But,
probably not.
That moment is also a good moment to say, please, even on your website and portfolio and resume, please have your contact information so we can get in touch with you. Please.
Yeah.
Sometimes that still happens.
That's great, Courtney. Bobby, you want to jump to number 5?
I'll take over. I'm looking at the thing. We're at 497. So like my anxiety is like building, and I feel bad if we go over 500. Just on my end that they can join, but 497 people, guys, that's great. So the next question is, does Netflix offer any types of internships or training programs for students or recent grads? You know, with that, like, do they need to go to art school? Do they need a degree? Those sort of questions. What do you guys think?
I'll take this one. So we're starting our engagement team. And that is, we're calling it, emerging talent. So you don't necessarily have to have a degree. You could be changing careers. You don't have to be right out of school, but we're starting some emerging talent trainee programs for the studio. We're starting off with story. We're also going to be doing one for writing and art, and we'll probably expand into that. But we are also looking domestically and internationally. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities. In full transparency, we are just getting started. And so we have a little ways to go, and it'll probably be continuing to grow and expand. So bear with us. But yes, the opportunities are coming.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. That's so exciting to hear.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And Kim, with that, are there, aside from training positions or apprenticeships, internships, that sort of thing, are there entry-level jobs at Netflix, such as like a story revisionist, like a starting place for a professional to kind of grow into a new role?
For sure. Story revisionists, we have a number of positions, prop designers sometimes, depending on the show and the project. PAs, honestly, it's another way. I started in production when I started, and it was fantastic. And you get to learn a little bit about the pipeline. There's a lot of value in understanding how things all fit together when you're doing your job. So there's lots of different opportunities, I'm sure, across all the different divisions. We're open. A lot of the times, I would say, depends on the show. Like, to me, it's always about balancing out the show. So do you have somebody like in story that's really good with action? So you need some more comedy people. So it doesn't necessarily matter what level that person is at. It's just balancing out the team so you have a nice, inclusive, representative voice moving the show forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's great. And it's great to hear the production side too, because we have a lot of people joining in on these feedback sessions, just wanting to, one, learn more about the industry, but also, if I'm not an artist and I'd love to work in animation, how can I do that? And I think that's great. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth plugging in here, like, art school's not required. Again, and we'll go back to what I first started this with. The most important thing is the portfolio. So it doesn't have to have a degree attached to it. So it comes down to the artwork. So that is what we are looking at. It's personally, as a recruiter, it's what I look at way before a resume. It is the most important thing when I'm evaluating candidates for a show, is really looking at that artwork and seeing if they could be a good fit on the production. And that doesn't mean a degree is required. I will throw in a caveat there. If you're international and you want to relocate to the US, that might, visas might require a degree. So that's something to look into based off of your own personal preferences, if that is something that you want to do. But if you also want to work internationally and work in those freelancer, independent contractor roles with us, again, art school is not necessary. It comes down to that portfolio.
Got it.
Plus, there's so many great resources nowadays where you can team up with mentors like Res Up, and just all these different online forums to get feedback or any of that, just to kind of help self-teach. So yeah, that's what, when people ask about school in particular, I'm like, we have all these resources now that we can kind of dive into and research more about.
Right.
Yeah, Erika, on that note, and just for everyone to know too, we'll have people come in that are in school outreach, and we have a database we're coming up with that offers a whole bunch of schools, but a lot of online options, cheaper options, YouTube tutorials, free sites too. So there's lots of options right now if you look hard enough out there.
We've hired many self-taught artists.
Yeah,
that's great.
There's a lot of them out there. Which brings me to, I'm wondering this actually myself too. So currently, what specialties are the highest demand at Netflix, you guys think?
The answer is C, all of them.
Is that true?
Yeah, the front end is pretty popular right now. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in, but they're all pretty in demand.
Right.
Yeah.
Across the board, yes.
Okay.
Every single one.
Okay. Cool.
That must keep you busy all the time.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love this next question because I see pictures from Netflix, and I think I saw one on Courtney's Instagram that was the logo N with a bunch of donuts on it, and I was like, what are they doing over there? So one of the questions was, how do you guys have fun at work? What is Netflix like? What's your day-to-day? Maybe we talk about pre-COVID, because I'm sure your day-to-day is a little different now, but what is it like there?
Yeah, I mean, it's still growing, and with growth and being in a startup, it means that we're at this moment where we're like creating new traditions, and we get to come up with new ideas and test them out and see kind of what hits with the studio. The biggest thing that's been there since day one, since I started, which has been my one constant, is Donut Wednesday. Really sad in COVID that we don't have it, but we have that. We have like holiday like bazaars and shops. We have like little like happy hour hangs on Thursdays as a studio. We have events throughout across the board. We do Caricature Day, which this year, because of COVID, because it's usually on April Fool's Day, was all on Slack. So the entire studio got on Slack and would just like post their photo, and then people would draw little caricatures. But we're still building out a lot of the traditions, and so people kind of just create this idea, and it's really like at Netflix, people are like, I have this great idea, we should do this. And then they go and they do it, and we start kind of picking up these new traditions as we're going. There's so many of them, I'm probably missing some.
I was going to highlight even just like the internal speaker series that our creative team put together. It's almost like a creative show and tell. So we get kind of exposure and visibility into what these other productions are doing, where they're at in their story. They're showing artwork. They're talking about inspiration for the project, challenges. And so I think in that, even post or pre-COVID, like that was just a way to bring us all together to kind of see what everyone's been up to and is working on.
That's so great with all the different shows there and talent just all over the place to kind of highlight those things. Yeah. And so, and they don't send you donuts on Wednesday now that you're at home? Because I mean, Netflix used to be a DVD delivery place. I mean, they could just flip them right in there, right?
We should
we'll make the request.
Yeah. Yeah. One Wednesday.
It sounds like a fun place to work.
Yeah, I also just want to highlight something else too, where again, you know, we're doing all these different types of projects, and that means all different kinds of artists and all different kinds of, you know, walks of life. Just walking around the space was electric. Getting to see people do so many different things was so cool. I miss everyone so much.
Me too.
People literally draw on the walls. Like, you can draw on the walls, and just like there's this one wall on one of the floors that is completely like drawn over, and people just keep adding to it, and it's been there since almost day one, right, Luana? You've been here a little longer than I have. And it just keeps growing and growing, and like one day you'll walk by and there'll be like another like giant like cat artwork up on the wall, and so you can just like see all these things that have been added. So it really does feel like creatively free, which is really exciting.
I would say, like, when I first started, one of the big things that stood out most to me day to day was lunchtime, because people would be inviting their friends or new people would be starting at the studio, and it was always like a huge reunion. Like, there would always be people running to each other, like the slow motion, and it's just cool because everyone's just geeking out over each other, and I love it so much.
Bobby, was it you? Somebody told me they walked in there one day for lunch, and they saw walk in, and it's like Glenn Keane and James Baxter.
Yeah, it was me, and I can't remember. I was either there to meet with Jorge or some other person, but he brought me into the cafeteria, and I came in, and it was like there was like Glenn Keane over there. There's like James Baxter, and then there was like this other like hero of mine. And then they were just kind of everywhere, and I was like, oh, what? And then they're all, it kind of felt like a superstar animation startup studio. And I was like, oh, whoa, this really.
Bobby, I'm laughing because when I went in for my interview, it was Craig McCracken, Jorge Gutierrez, James Baxter, Glenn Keane, Elizabeth Eno, and I'm like, oh my God.
Someone in one speaker series called it, like in the chat room, called it like the Avengers of animation, and I just started cracking up, and I was like, this is so true.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And Jorge himself, he's the best human on earth, and he's going to do a talk for us here on Rise Up Animation on
Awesome.
pitching your own projects.
Yeah.
So,
Amazing.
yeah, it's going to be
So cool.
I would love to just touch upon the culture though, just one more second. Like
Yes,
I know I hear a lot of people talk about culture and, you know, what is the culture? And the thing I just like to say to everybody as part of it is all of us make up the culture, like not a corporate thing. I mean, obviously the feelings come down, but I feel like it's all of us putting our own personalities and building it. And I think that's one of the things that's so exciting for me at Netflix right now is we are just forming. And so we have a chance to influence all of that and who we want to be and what we want to give back. And, you know, just talking about like Bobby's chat when he went into the studio and just seeing everyone, that excitement and that openness, that's what creates the culture. How open we are with each other, how we share information, that's culture. And so I always just like to reiterate that it's not the place, it's the people. And I think it's really important to remember because as you get hired at different places, you're contributing to that. You're helping to build that.
Well said, Kim.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I will, I'll try to keep this in a way that I reached out to a buddy of mine named Jima, who's an African-Canadian designer over in Toronto. And I just said, hey man, I hope you're doing well. And it's great to see you thriving in the animation industry. And he's such a Zen person. He's such a young, brilliant artist. And he just said, I hope you're doing well too. The machine of the industry is never going to care about any of us as much as we're going to care about each other. And I was like, ooh, man, that is so good because it's so true. And like one of the things I always talk about with everybody is like, you know, maybe the different studios are sort of vying for their place, but like the artists look out for each other. Like, I don't care where you're from, I'm going to support your project.
Yeah.
And that's always the case. And with Correy, he said, my sword for you, Pontillas. I will guest speak at your thing. Anyway, so let's get on with the, sorry guys, let's get on with the questions. The next one is, do recruiters keep portfolios on files and track the growth of applicants? What do you guys think?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Again, like our total best interest to like keep an eye on you and your work and see how you progress and see again like what projects might be the best fit for you. Maybe folks don't know this, but we work with a system, most studios do, what's called an applicant tracking system, and there are different kinds of softwares available for it. But essentially, it's an entire database where we are able to collect applications, we're able to source through all the different candidate profiles that we're loading up either through application or external sourcing. We're able to kind of pipeline or, you know, connect to potential shows or, you know, make notes in the profile as well as to like where this might make sense in the future. And so if you're updating us with your work or, you know, sending us your availability, updated resume, portfolio, any of that, that's more than likely going into this particular system so that we can see, you know, where you progress down the line. So let us have it.
Cool. Right
Hey,
on.
Luana, can I just add on to that because like I've had a couple friends that have applied to like Pixar and they don't hear back for like 2 or 3 years later because the recruiting team, you know, saw their portfolio and thought, oh, this person would actually be great for this movie down the road. Let's kind of wait to call them up then. Is that something you all experience at Netflix as well?
I definitely think that, yeah, it's definitely something that we've experienced. It's because we're so early on, again, we're like in startup mode, we're maybe 2 years old as a studio. You know, we may have experienced a little bit of drag and lag getting back to people, and huge apologies on that. Like we can admit when we're wrong, right? But like, I think more so what we're moving towards is that transparency of, you know, thank you for applying. We're going to keep an eye on your work. And, you know, if there is a fit, then we'll be reaching out to you down the road. Or, you know, if we source you externally, then if we want to get to know you and your work, we're going to ask like, hey, like, are you interested in full-time or freelance? Let me hop on the phone with you or a video call, or if you're, you know, comfortable with email, let's get to know you more. So I think in terms of moving forward, we're absolutely looking forward to having like better communication style with everybody that comes through the pipeline, either through applications or through sourcing. But it's all, you know, it's a community effort as well too. So if you are able to reach out to us, you know, outside of just the job site, please do. Absolutely. We'd love to be connected with you.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. And you know what, that kind of segues into the next question, which I think this is a question a lot of people have. I saw it come up a lot, and something I wonder all the time too is how important is that social media presence? I mean, to get your art out there, not just to be in touch with you all, but also just to, you know, put your work out there, let it be seen, share it on whatever, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, if people still use Tumblr. How important is that? I still update Tumblr. It gives you that option on Instagram. Like, you want to update? Sure, I guess. Nobody tries.
As long as I can find your work and your contact information, that's all I need. Like, throw it up wherever you want, wherever it feels best for you, you know, however outwardly facing you want to be. Awesome. But like, if I can look at your work and see like your portfolio or your portfolio pieces and can, you know, figure out where to message you, that's what I want.
Yeah, and I'll plug in there, like, we can find your work wherever. Does the social media piece help? And I'm not saying like have like 10,000 plus followers. You don't need to have that, but does having social media help? It does. I can guarantee you that I have a thread in Instagram with Luana where I have just stumbled across people's work that they've hashtagged that hits one of the hashtags that I'm following. And I will send it to Luana and I'm like, oh my gosh, this person could be so great for this show that you're looking for. And we have those threads all the time between all of the recruiters and researchers. So we're definitely finding people in that space as well. So like hashtag your artwork, because we probably will find it based off of what we're looking at. And that is a way that we've genuinely found artists where we're just looking at Instagram. Like, it can be on the weekend when I'm getting coffee and I'll be like, wait, this person is amazing for this project that we have. I need to send them to the team. And so we're really utilizing that as well when we're looking for candidates. So it does help, but it's not required.
I also find that people use, outside of just like their main portfolio, they use maybe Instagram or Twitter to showcase more personal work. And I love just going down those rabbit holes of just seeing a little bit more about who you are as an artist in terms of like personal interests. So that's kind of how I look to social media, is looking at your work.
Someone is asking in the chat, I wonder what hashtags they follow. I'm pretty sure I follow hashtag animation, hashtag art, hashtag storyboarding, hashtag Netflix animation. I don't know if you guys have anything else.
Character design challenge, Mermaid, Inktober.
Mermaid. Oh, you know what? I think everyone should just start hashtagging Courtney Recruits, and
There you go.
they'll just get right to them.
I do see it when I also get tagged in artwork.
I also
by the way, I just saw a comment go by that said, rest in peace, Tumblr, and how dare you?
Aww.
Come on.
Shade. Also want to just shout out Drawing While Black hashtag. What's up, Abel? Like, thank you so much. For
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I discovered so much from that thread, that Twitter. I'm not even on Twitter, but I just went on Twitter to like see it and just list the artists that were getting spotlighted. So that's awesome. It's really cool.
Great.
So if you don't mind, we'll move on to the next question. So the next question is, what is Netflix animation looking for in terms of style? Is it sort of based on the project they are hiring for? You know, you guys are doing a lot of work aimed for children, but there's a lot of work that are more adult-oriented, like Love, Death, Robots. Do you guys hire for the studio or specific shows? What do you guys think?
And sorry, I'll just add on to this question too, since we did talk about a little bit of this, is do you hire for the studio, or is it always show specific? Do you have artists jump around shows, or is it just totally show based?
Yeah, I would definitely say, as we're looking to bring on artists to our shows, in that moment, it may be show specific, but we're also thinking long term. So as we're talking to artists, we're discussing like long term goals, project interests, like what is your ideal dream project? That way we're tracking for other projects that are going to be ramping up maybe as this project is ramping down. And we have an incredible artist management team in-house that is dedicated to making sure our internal talent is considered for upcoming opportunities at the studio. So we definitely are thinking holistically, aside from just like the show specific. And then to highlight to the adult piece, since I kind of focus within the adult animated projects, again, it's a little bit of everything. We have like dark comedy, super old school cartoony, more cinematic, maybe rated R, super mature to more like abstract mixed media. So again, looking for a little bit of everything. You don't have to have a background in just adult animation. We're looking everywhere. I feel like I've looked within live action, marketing, consumer products, graphic design, outside of animation as well. So we're looking everywhere.
Got it.
That's so cool. And when people apply too, I know we talked about, catering the portfolio, but how do we stand out? If I send my portfolio and there's 100 portfolios coming your way for that job, how do I stand out? Like what is that one spark that you look for?
Ooh, I think what really speaks to me when I'm looking at a portfolio is I love seeing artists who are drawing with like a unique style that's really their voice and they're bringing it into their portfolio. I feel like so many artists that I talk to that are trying to get in are like, who do I need to draw like what do I need to draw in order to get into this studio? And my advice for them is always draw your own style, because I tell you to draw like someone else, well, I could just hire that someone else, and I want to hire you, and I want to hire you for your unique voice that you're going to bring to the story, whether that's visually and visual development and art and design, or whether that's in the story and the storyboards. So people who are really making their artwork unique and making it their own, and obviously like draftsmanship comes into it, but that unique sensibility that I can't find with another person because you're really drawing what you're passionate about, that really resonates from a portfolio or from a reel when I'm seeing it, because it's different. It's you're not drawing like someone else. You're not drawing like a certain studio or trying to fit within the parameters of what you think a studio is interested in. You're really honing into what you're passionate about, and it comes through in the art. Like it really does. And those portfolios always stand out the most to me.
So you want them to do their thing. I think that's so cool that you want to bring that artist in and just say, do your thing. We love you for that.
That's it. The passion comes through. If you love what you do, and that's what we're always looking for, that passion, that love of and joy of the craft. And so I think the benefit we have right now at Netflix is we're doing a little bit of everything. I remember, I think it was Erika and I were at Annecy, and we're just like, this is so fun. We get to look at everything. Everything falls into the buckets now. And it's refreshing because there's a place for all different types of arts and voices and style. And it's a nice time to be in animation.
Yeah. The thing I always like to include when I'm talking to artists is it's not if you're a fit, it's when you're a fit. It's things that might not be a fit stylized right now. It could come in weeks, months, years, but it's back to that relationship piece. If you're maintaining relationships with us, growing your network and your community, working on your own portfolio and updating, it's only a matter of time, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love what you're all mentioning too about personal projects, because I know a lot of the reels and portfolios we see, especially at major studios, is a lot of professional work, and my eye just always goes to that personal project because you're seeing like the dialogue that person picked that is special to them, or that story they just had to tell because it's a part of them, and I just love that that's a focus for you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely a focus for our creators and our heads of department. I think what's really cool is we get the opportunity to really sit down and partner with them right from the start of their project. So we're sitting with the director or the creator or the creative producer who really has the vision for the project. And they're the ones that are like, well, can I see their personal work? Because I like want to see what they're really passionate about. So it's really coming from them that they're really excited about the personal pieces that people are working on. And like, yes, like the professional portfolio shows them that you can work in a professional environment, you can do the turns, you can do everything, but they're really gravitating towards the personal artwork. Like if you're presenting on a screen to them and you're showing the professional artwork, often like 9 out of 10 times they'll say, do they have any personal work that I can look at? So it's coming from them right from the start, which is exciting.
Oh, that's so cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just want to plug like a piece of information or actually a really great tip that I picked up.
Mhm.
If you are starting out and you're really struggling to figure out like what should my portfolio really look like, what should I include, check out your favorite show or movie, like check out their IMDb page, go to the credit list, look at the designers or storyboard artists who are credited there, find where their portfolios are, look at their Instagram pages, what do they include there, look at Bobby and Trent's portfolios, like what do those look like, and that's the bar, right? That's the bar that you have to work up to. That's the bar that you really have to compete with, really, and just get inspired.
Mm-hmm.
I would add to that, Luana. Oh, sorry, Trent.
No, go ahead, Kim.
I was just saying art of books. Like I love the craft of the art of
Yeah.
books. That's another great resource to see, how things evolve and what they're looking for. Cause that's, those are the artists, the storyboard and, CG and art design. That's what we're looking for, is some people that can pivot and do rough sketches and then more detailed turnarounds and everything in between.
That's great. Yeah, and just to add to what Luana was saying, and I love that, by the way, Kim, because I would flip through those art of books and find all the names and list those. But I remember when I was in school, I would look at the credits, just like you're talking about, and I would find their reels online, the Jen Haggers, who was working on Princess of the Frog at the time, and kind of see like, oh, this is the bar. This is what the studios are looking for. She got in here, and kind of looking at my own work and saying, I need some work to get there. So. I love that. And by the way, if you're looking at our stuff, focus on Bobby's. Bobby's got beautiful things.
So dumb. So I was like reading the chats very recently. So ArtStation is awesome. I mean, like a one-click stop shop to see people's work. So that's good.
We look at it all, even Tumblr.
Chime away.
Yes, Behance too. Also Behance. I'm just looking at the chat.
Man.
And what about Blogspot? Is that still
no?
thing?
Oh yeah, Blogspot is the way to go. Nope.
Nope.
So I think I'll throw this question at you guys. I don't know if it's been covered, but I'll respect the question. Can you talk about different disciplines currently hire at Netflix and how we can see job postings?
Yeah, I will chime in. I'll let Luana chime in about the job postings, but I can cover the disciplines. So we kind of talked about this at the start. So we have roles in feature, series, adult, preschool. We do CG, stop motion, 2D. So we do all of that. We're really focusing on art, story, layout, production management, editorial.
Some CG.
Some CG. We do have some CG in-house as well. So we do that as well. And we do have jobs that are posted, but I will let Luana talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've got a couple general job descriptions up on our job site, netflixanimation.com/jobs. I'll go ahead and drop it into the chat as well again. So guys, feel free to check out the job roles, apply for those that you feel most resonate with your skill sets. And absolutely, especially because you're getting these amazing portfolio critiques by the pros in the industry, feel free to apply with your updated portfolio. I think that's going to be really great for us to see and sort through and track again for future opportunities.
Right.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, going to the next question is, and it's kind of related. You've talked about a lot of the pre-production work being done in-house, and like what amount of work is being outsourced outside of the studio, whether it's within the US or outside, because you have so many shows going on. And I think this is always like a thing to keep in mind, that you don't need to live in LA to work on these cool projects. There's people living all around the globe working on like these really cool Netflix projects. So do you mind talking a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is something else that we touched on a little bit earlier, but again, the Netflix platform puts out animation content, and like Trent said, you don't need to live in the States or in LA even to work on any of these kinds of projects. We will license content directly from other production studios. We will also partner from, first creation development all the way to finish. And then in-house, we again focus on this pre-production part of the pipeline. So depending on what you're drawn to as an artist or as a production person, really defining what kind of projects that you want to work on, and then going out and finding what studios best fit that desire for you. If it's at Netflix Animation, hopefully your focus is on that, front end piece of the pipeline.
I think that's just so cool, because I mean, we have such an international community with Rise Up, and I mean, 10 years ago, it was hard to find feature work anywhere. I know, like, I grew up in Canada, and there was nothing there, and now there's just, I mean, work everywhere, which is so cool, because you can always stay where you are, get experience there, and then work your way to LA if you still want to do that thing. So I just think that's so cool you're doing that.
Yeah, animation is a global medium. It's a global language. There are studios all across the world. Do your, research where you are. And I think it's an awesome opportunity to not just grow, but really hone your craft.
Right.
It's great.
And then, so thank you guys for your time. Like one more question. We made it. We did it, guys. Thank you guys so much. And so the last question is, do you guys have any additional tips or tricks or words of wisdom at all for portfolio submissions? What do you guys think? Or people trying to break into the industry?
Yeah, and Bobby, since you're mentioning breaking into the industry, I'll just add on to this for all of you too. Is I saw in the comments section, how do I become a recruiter too? Like I know we talked about production, but we talk about how do we do what you do, because that's such a cool job too.
Call me, please. We need help.
We're hiring.
We are.
You're gonna have 500 applicants.
I'd love to just say one thing. I think one of the hardest part, like I know trying to get my foot in the door way back when, was the feeling of getting discouraged. Like you don't hear back. It feels like you're not getting answers. And the one thing I say to people is don't give up. Like the recruiters are tracking. And if you don't hear, like we would love to get back to everybody. And like Luana and the team said, we are working on it. It's hard and that's no excuse, and we will find a solution. But don't give up. Like don't get discouraged. Like it's about the right time. It's the right fit. Keep growing, keep listening to feedback, gather, like we have panels all the time. Go listen to what people are saying, try to enhance your craft. And just, it's hard not to get discouraged, but don't give up. There's a lot of opportunity out there.
Definitely. And I would say, adding to that, as you're practicing and continuing to master your craft, just keep the mindset of like the moment you tell yourself like, wow, I'm an expert at what I do, I now know everything, is the moment you stop growing. So I just would encourage you to continue to put like your best work forward and work that best represents who you are as an artist. Just don't stop, just keep going.
That's awesome.
And I will add into that. I noticed like in the chat, I saw a lot of people who were like saying that they were like nervous to talk to recruiters. And I tend to get that also, like, we're not scary people. We promise. Not at all. We love talking to people. We like, it's don't be scared to talk to recruiters if it also helps you. Like sometimes I get terrified to talk to certain candidates. So I get really nervous. Like there's some candidates that are really big names in animation that I'm a fan of. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to have a phone call with them. I'm so nervous. So it happens to us too, if that makes you feel a little bit better. So don't be nervous. If you are nervous, that's okay, because we are too sometimes. So it's nothing to stress out over at all. And then kind of going off that recruiter question, there's no one way to become a recruiter. No one, I think, graduates school and is like, I want to be a recruiter in animation. It's just something you like randomly stumble into. So everyone on our team has unique backgrounds, but that's also really exciting and really helpful in the recruiting space because you can lean into people's different backgrounds to hire certain positions or to find certain candidates because everyone has all these different strengths. So I think that actually makes the recruiting team way stronger for everyone to be more diverse and to have come from different places and industries. So there's no one way to become a recruiter. Every way is possible. It's just you have to be really passionate about artwork and animation and finding candidates and helping people too, I think is really what it comes down to. So if that's something that excites you, then recruiting might be a good fit.
Yeah.
That's up.
Yeah. Start out looking for recruiting coordinator roles is a great way to get your foot in the door as a starting point. It's a great way just to start to learn the pipeline and the candidates, and having a passion is the biggest thing. Like the love of the craft, I cannot get enough, is really, I think, what sets apart, you know, fantastic recruiters that actually care and are passionate about all of you and your experiences and what you do versus, you know, someone that's just checking the boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to all that. And in terms of advice, like seconding Erika, keep on going. I just want to take a moment really quickly to say thank you so much for, you know, Bobby, Trent, Frank, everybody at Rise Up for, you know, seeing the gap and bridging it and giving us all kind of this avenue to move forward together. This is huge, especially with how crazy this year has been. So I appreciate you guys, all the mentors. Thank you so much. Everybody attending and being a part of the portfolio reviews and this panel. It's huge for you guys to be vulnerable and, you know, want to grow. It's amazing. We need you. This is moving the needle. This is being the change. Keep on going. Thank you.
And one last plug. You do not just need to network with recruiters in animation. Your peers are as valuable, if not more valuable. So network with your peers, and your peers are even people who are in this chat room watching this video right now who are participating in Rise Up. So network with the industry. Your peers are going to be so important in 1 year and 2 years and 10 years. So definitely take advantage of all of these opportunities you have to network, not just with the professionals in the industry that you're getting these portfolio and reel reviews from, but also from the people that are participating in this with you.
That's so great, Courtney. What a great way to close this, because these 500 people on the other side, you're the future of the industry. These are your people. These are like, we found our people. And like, I just want to say, Luana, Kim, Courtney, Erika, just like the passion you guys have for this is infectious. And I'm so excited. You're our first talk on Rise Up. You're our first guest speaker.
Yeah. First talk.
Hi.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone can kind of, in the chat channel, you can see it like scrolling by. They feel it coming into an end. So everyone's like posting their link to their work. It's
amazing.
So awesome.
It's not coming to an end because we're going to watch Erika play video games for the next
Oh, yeah. Welcome to my live Twitch channel.
Yeah.
We're going
We're
in.
just transition smoothly to that.
But yeah, that's awesome. That's all we wanted to do is create a community within the mentors and within the mentees, and then hopefully cross that over too at some point. But it feels like everyone's posting their work as I see it, which is awesome. At some point we had like 500. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I kept looking at the number because I was just worried about people who wouldn't get in.
We hit 507 at a certain point.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank
It was
you
like
all.
507, and I was like, at some point I was like, how's that happening? And then and then I was like, how is that possible with my Zoom account? But I just kept listening. But thank you guys so much. We really, really, really appreciate it. And we know you guys are doing this out of the kindness of your own free time. So we really appreciate it. So,
Yes. Thank you.
No, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Big Wave. We'll see you next time. I'm sure this won't be the only time. So we'll see you soon.
So if
Bye,
I
guys.
end this,
Bye.
all the people aren't gonna talk to each other anymore.
Oh,
Bye, everybody.
bye.
I don't know.
Okay, bye guys. I'll
Bye.
wait.
Have a good night.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Rise Up.
Bye. Thank you guys.
Peace out.